Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to another episode of Found Footage Fridays with my co-host, Tom Ringmer.
Happy Friday, everybody.
The last September Friday before, hardcore spooky season.
I'm already into spooky season.
Your Freddy sweater?
If you didn't notice, yes. I feel like this is permanently grafted to my skin for the remainder of this month.
That's good. You can always Febreze it if it gets too... Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, so we have... This one was one that... The one we're talking about today was one that you messaged me about, right?
One I hadn't heard of. Saw a couple of people in a found footage forum talking about it.
Yeah.
They were talking pretty positively about it and pretty excitedly about it.
Yeah.
And it sounded like something that was right up my alley, at least. And so, I jumped on that as soon as I heard about it. It's not exactly new either, though.
Yeah, no, it's not. So today we are talking about the 2011 found footage film, 7 Nights of Darkness. Short synopsis. 6 reality show contestants have to spend 7 nights in an abandoned asylum to win $1 million.
I mean, it's like a classic setup. It's a setup that's typically pretty hard not to get right. Although I wonder, when did you say this was made? What year? I forget.
2011.
2011. So I don't know how many came of this exact style came before this movie. But it definitely has a sort of the same idea as a Grave Encounters, except it's not a film crew, it's contestants on a game show. But
yeah,
same setup basically otherwise. They have to spend 7 nights to win a bunch of money. You know, whoever's left at the end gets to split it. And you know, solid, simple concept.
Yeah, it's so for anyone watching who may remember this, many moons ago, back when MTV was still good, it had a show called MTV Fear. And MTV Fear was contestants that went to haunted locations for the the opportunity to win money. And every hour or every so many hours, they would all get these little assignments that they would have to go do. Sometimes it would be go do a seance. Sometimes it would be you have to go sit in this specific location where this very specific thing happened in the total dark radio silence for an hour. Someone would come and get you when your time was up. And, you could give up at any point, but then you forfeited the money, and then whoever was left got to split what was there. And this is very clearly heavily influenced by MTV Fear.
Okay. So I don't even remember.
No,
I don't think I ever saw that.
So good. It was so good. I genuinely, I have no idea why it wasn't a bigger thing. It was a really cool idea. But they went to all kinds of places. Some of the haunted places they went to were even outside. So it was like all kinds of places, but it was really cool.
So was this around the same time then? Did you say that? Like, was this movie made?
No, I was still I was either in middle school or early high school when this came out. So this would have been like early 2000s.
Okay. So
post Blair Witch is probably the reason, because it was very Blair Witchy in concept. But yeah, so they'd go to these places with these stories, these backgrounds, and literally so I think whoever made this probably was a big fan of MTV Fear.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah. So what'd you think? I'm really curious. I'm trying not to give anything away as far as what I thought about this, but maybe you can read into how I'm talking about this a little bit.
Yeah. So,
indeed.
This was an interesting one, because it did remind me a lot of Grave Encounters. But I really liked the contestant concept. I thought that was really cool. I felt like the people, as far as their individual trope character type or whatever, I thought were all very believable. But I mean, yeah, I think some of the scares were a little underwhelming. There's an effect that they use that I think probably wasn't necessary and instead made things kind of cheesy in my opinion, but I think
Okay.
the characters were fine. There were some moments where I was a little on edge. But yeah, I mean, not like I don't think this one like blew me out of the water or anything, but I think it was entertaining. Like there was times when I was like frustrated with them or I was laughing at some of the things that they said or did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of
I mean,
yeah.
there were things I liked,
Yeah,
that, but I think a lot of the things I liked were things that are more about this genre, about it being,
sure.
you know, a group of people that have to stay overnight in a haunted house. I think there's something about that idea that
Yeah,
just does hook me, and it almost doesn't even
I
matter
know.
what they do.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, I guess generally speaking,
Mhm.
I didn't. It's not Grave Encounters.
No.
It's not, some of the others we talked about or seen that, it's not Ganjam, uh, at all.
Mm-mm. No.
It's I actually, you said you liked some of the characters. I actually thought, and again, this is sort of a reality television thing, so maybe it's intentional. I thought all the characters were very annoying. Um,
Yeah, I think it's
like they
intentional,
were
but yeah,
all okay. So yeah, they're all screaming at each other and screaming in general
chaotic.
the
Yeah,
the entire movie. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, it's good because of the sub genre that it is.
yeah,
Um, it's not as good as others in that sub genre. Put it that way. So
yeah,
let's rate it,
yeah.
right?
Do you wanna go first? You want me to go
Sure,
first?
sure, sure.
Okay.
I'm gonna give this one a 4 tapes out of 10.
Okay.
And if you know me, I like this style a lot,
That
and
is
so
substantially lower than I thought you were gonna go,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah, because I do know this is, like, in your wheelhouse. Um, yeah, so, I mean, there's some things that I think I really did like, but I think the problem is things I didn't like were so impactful that it kinda waters down the rest of it. So, yeah, so I actually, my rating is a 4.5.
yeah, yep, I get it. So what
Yeah.
was the part that you thought, what was the effect they used that bothered you?
The spooky face.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I thought maybe that was it.
Because, that's used in Grave Encounters. Not quite obviously, not the exact same one, but the
Same idea.
concept is used in Grave Encounters, and I
It's where
think
the face suddenly changes. It's like a person and their
yeah,
face, a
yeah,
possessed sort of thing. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. See,
and I
what am
think
I,
that
what?
that
Sorry,
was
go ahead.
no, you're fine. I think that was a problem for me because we saw it like a bunch of times, and
Yeah,
it wasn't done, in my opinion, as well as Grave Encounters, and it's hard because, like, we try to be pretty objective when we go into stuff, and I try really hard not to compare it, but it's so similar, it's kind of hard not
hard.
to.
It's hard not to.
Because the first time I saw Grave Encounters, the time when they find that woman and she turns around, I was terrified. I was so scared. Like, so that effect or that kind of setup for that has kind of already been like I've already seen it. And now I've seen it even more times because it happens in so many things. The
Yeah,
stretch, I didn't mean to hit my computer. The stretch, the like all of that. But anyway, but yeah, that was just I think it would have been better if they had not done that at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some of my biggest problems or my biggest problem was really with the structure of the movie in general. So they have
Mhm.
to be there for 7 nights,
Yep.
and every so often it's like, night one, then it's night two and night three.
Mhm. Yep.
And my problem with that, the way they do that storytelling is what's happening during the day. Every single so there's like serious stuff happening on some of these nights, and then you don't see anything until the next night. And so my point is like that's hours and hours and hours that like we're not seeing. We don't ever see it. Nothing ever happens during the day, I guess, because it's light
Yeah.
out, but like we don't even see them like hanging around during the day. It just kind of skips from one night to the and I don't know why that bothered me and seemed like it seemed sort of lazy, I thought.
Well, I think we get like one daytime clip where they're eating, but it's like really, really,
Re-
really short. And then it just
Was
and
it
you're right.
during?
And it was
I
just
wasn't even sure if
one.
that was during a day, like because they don't
Well,
even if it is, they don't ever say it. You know what I
address
mean? It's just
address
night, night,
it.
night, night. Yeah,
Yeah, and you can't tell because when they're in that I don't know, like kitchen area or whatever, it's not evident through windows or like there's no like way to tell. But I do
yeah.
think because they wake up, it's daytime, they get up and then they go and have their little powwow
Okay,
or whatever. But then it's very quick to be like, do you want to jump into spoilers before we say too many things?
let's
Or
go for it. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I think that was well, I think the other thing is I think that also makes it feel less real. Like there has to be some kind of filler, some kind of something to make it feel more real
Yep.
as opposed to if it's just like, you know, crazy the whole time. I just think that makes it less believable.
Yeah, I guess so. Makes sense.
Because if you're watching, when you watch these TV shows like this, you get other clips, you get day clips, you get conversation clips, you get, but even the clips of them talking like just by themselves, their little like diary sessions or whatever,
Yeah.
they're all at night.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like it's almost
That's
like
a good point.
the day didn't exist. Like it's almost like they went home during the day and like nothing. Which I know they didn't. They weren't supposed to be going home. So, but that's
But
what
it
it sort of
feels
felt like.
disjointed. Yeah. No, I
Very,
get that.
very like there was nothing. What happened in between all of these nights?
Yeah,
Um,
I get that.
I mean, other stuff too that I would just like, and I am like the king of suspending disbelief.
Relief. Mhm.
But there were things that like I think no actual human would do or choices they would make, even if
Okay.
they were in a game for a lot of money. I think. I would guess some people would make these choices. But so this lady is supposedly, we're spoiling now. So this lady is possessed or something
Okay.
after they play, they have a seance and then she sort
Mhm.
of becomes possessed or something. And
Mhm.
I think at one point she's catatonic and laying on the floor.
Mhm.
And they just like zip her up in her sleeping bag and like, all right, everyone, let's go to bed. Like they don't make any attempts to like call 911 or like get help. They just, we're just gonna move on from this. They also have her like sitting in a chair for later on, sitting in a chair tied down for again without any filler in between days, at least like an entire day.
Yeah.
She's
Because
tied to a chair. Like,
yeah.
did she have to go to the bathroom? Like, I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's some gaps there they're not filling in. Like, clearly she wasn't tied to that chair for 24 hours or more without needing to
Uh-huh.
go to the bathroom. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I
I know
for
she's
that
possessed, but I assume possessed people have to go to the bathroom.
well, and for me, I actually thought when that stuff started to kind of happen, I thought because it seemed kind of like it might have been influenced by, Grave Encounters, I was wondering if they were gonna go the "we can't escape and we can't call out and we don't have a way to leave and
But
the
they didn't
building"
go there.
and they didn't, and so
No.
when that didn't happen, I was like, "Ooh, that might would have been better." Like, it would have felt a bit more like a knockoff, I think, but which may have been why they didn't do it, but then
Yeah.
at least it would have justified some of the actions later, like that one, where
Yeah.
if they were worried after because the part where she's at the end of the hall, I actually thought that looked really creepy. Like when
Yep.
she's like standing there all like weird, like
Yep.
lopsided, like a scarecrow or something.
Yeah, there were a few really great shots like that. Like
That one
they were
was really
great.
good, but then when they were like, "Okay, well, we wanna win money, so we're gonna tie her to this chair, and you have to sleep in here with her anyway," like, absolutely not. She just tried
Yeah.
to attack y'all, like, I don't understand the
And then there was like that guy being really creepy with her, right? Because like,
yeah,
but he was
Randy.
like filming himself being really creepy with her, like as if people weren't going to see this. Like, that was weird. But no, there was great like imagery, like there was like a girl skipping down
The
a
little
hall or
girl.
something in the
Mhm. Mhm.
background, which was really creepy.
Uh-huh.
But it was like there were a lot of or a few really creepy moments, and then a
Mhm.
lot of like screaming, a lot of shaky camera. And again, this is not too far removed, like a decade, I guess, a decade or so after Blair Witch,
Mhm.
and so they were trying to replicate, especially at that time, that feeling. So it was very. I mean, the cinematography, if you want to call it that, was very. It's a loose way to describe that, I guess, because it was essentially just people running around shaking. I think there were times where it seemed like they were physically trying to shake
Mhm.
the camera,
Yeah,
trying to make it look like that. Like
yeah.
moments where I had to close my eyes and look away. Um, and like I think sometimes this was a Blair Witch. There's an awful lot of screaming and fighting, and it sort of did devolve even beyond that. They were just screaming all the time. I felt like in this movie.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like, there was, like, a couple scenes so, the 2 things that I think, like, bothered me the most that have to do with those things were, one of the initial scenes when they're arguing a lot. Like,
Yep.
they're being, like, really mean to the blonde that later becomes possessed, and they're like, I think, like and maybe I'm just confrontational. Like, if I was going through this experience and someone was speaking to me that way, I would not just continue to just take it and ignore them and then let everybody argue along. Like, I feel like there was like that was so forced. I don't feel like given the personality types we were supposed to be seeing that that level of arguing and the way they were speaking to each other like would have happened in real life. Like I think
No,
somebody probably would have got hit. Like because that
definitely.
one guy was so horribly mean for like no reason.
Yeah.
Like and I'm like watching this, like, I would never in a million years let anybody speak to me that way. Like the way
No.
he was so like rude and mean and yelling at her, I was so annoyed by that. And then the second one that bothered me, kind of along those same things of them arguing and screaming and stuff, was when we get down to our last two and
Yeah.
they're in that room and the doors are being banged on and she literally is just screaming the whole time. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, if I was in a place that was supposedly haunted and that happened, I'm not saying I wouldn't be scared. What I'm saying is I do know for a fact that I would not continue to scream for 7 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Like that was obnoxious.
Yeah.
It made it hard to even hear like what was going
Oh,
on.
I had to like put my finger in my ear. Like it was
No,
just like,
I had to turn it, like, way down because I
yeah,
couldn't even hear the
same.
noise on the doors. So, it was at times, it was like, "What are you even screaming for?" Like, can't hear or see anything going on. Anyway,
But
so those were
eh,
my 2 scenes.
part of that, like with the audio, like they literally, I'm sure they didn't have any boom mics or anything. It was literally was just they were walking
Whatever
around
was
a
on their
camcorder.
face, yeah,
Like
through the
everybody was trying to duplicate back then. You know what I mean? Because that's how Blair Witch was filmed. But like
yeah,
it just, yeah, it was a hard one for the senses. I will say
it
that.
was.
Um, but it has like just like a lot of these movies do. It had so much potential. Like
It
great
really did.
idea, great concept. I will watch every movie that is set up this way.
I
Like,
will too.
and a
I'm
lot
with
of
you.
them I will really like too.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, I will say this in its defense as far as like the scares. I actually thought the end was good. Like
Yeah,
the scenes on the stairs, I thought was like really kind of creepy. Like that was really well done. And then, obviously like he turns and then it's like there. I thought that was all good. Like it wasn't great. It wasn't the best thing I've ever seen, but the stairs were scary.
no,
Like that
there
was
was,
creepy when
yeah, there
she's
was a
just like
lot.
on the stairs. But it was like so much of the other stuff really discredited the stuff that was really good. That's what I was saying. Like it made the rest of it feel watered down.
It almost felt like to me that like I think there was a loose plan of what they wanted to do, but I
Mhm,
sort of feel like they filmed a bunch of these scary scenes,
mhm.
and most of them were fine, and then sort of slapped on this, not this is night one and this one's night two, and it didn't necessarily
Wasn't cohesive.
no, and it didn't necessarily fully connect everything. It just sort of like jumped from one little vignette to another almost.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't know. And
Yeah.
it's definitely not terrible. And if you like
Mhm.
Grave Encounters, which Grave Encounters must have come after this, actually, right? Do you think
Mm-mm.
came before?
No, am I wrong? When did Grave
I
Encounters
don't
come
know.
out?
I thought Grave Encounters wasn't that old. We're gonna find out right now.
2011.
Same year. Isn't that interesting?
because I just feel I need to know this. I'm gonna
Which
look and
came
see.
first?
Yeah, because that could be the other issue. This was wildly successful, Grave Encounters, and if its
Grave
success was
Encounters.
made or realized, they could have rushed to make something similar and get it out the same year. Let me
Was
see this.
Grave Encounters in theaters?
I don't think so. I can't
No.
remember. I think
Okay.
somebody corrected us one time on a video and said that it did have like a release, but I don't remember it.
Okay.
But this was okay. So Grave Encounters came out in, well, September 9th. That's weird. Let me see. And what was this one called? Seven Nights.
Yeah. Of Darkness. In
Got it.
Darkness. Of Darkness.
2000 of 2011. Let me scroll way the heck down here and see. November 1st.
Now, release date isn't everything, but yes, it sounds
No.
like
Well, and that probably wouldn't have given it enough time for Grave Encounters to really blow up anyway.
probably not.
So
Yep.
that's weird that they
Big
were
coincidence.
that similar and they came out within 2 months of each other.
Maybe one of them got news of the other one making that movie,
Well,
and
I
they
think
rushed them
Grave
out.
Encounters did the festival circuit before it became,
Oh,
some I don't
interesting.
know. Who's to say? Maybe it's just a weird coincidence, and maybe this was really just supposed to be more like MTV Fear, because there's definitely that going on too. But that's crazy that they came out 2 months apart. That's wild,
It's very interesting. Yeah.
considering how similar they are in concept. And that's the thing, right? Is like, and we've said this, the concept is super strong. Some of the shots are really
Yep.
good. The premise, I mean, I genuinely love, and I almost hate it when it's like this. When I love the premise, but it's like the execution that's like, I'm
That's
like,
more what it
oh,
is. I
such a
love the
great
premise.
idea.
Love the premise.
Yeah,
But I mean, let's be fair. Grave Encounters is one of the better found footage movies you'll see.
it
It's very
is.
scary, and this was, maybe it's not fair. Maybe because it's so similar,
Yeah.
we're having unfair expectations. If I wonder if this
Mhm.
was the only one in this style, we hadn't already seen Grave Encounters, if we really would have liked this or liked it a lot more.
Well, yeah. I mean,
There's another one that we watched, and I'm blanking on what it is. Oh, we didn't watch it. We didn't talk about it because it was so bad. Actually, it was. I
which
cannot
one?
think of it. There was one on Tubi that I watched, and I got like halfway through it, and I think you tried to watch it too, and you couldn't finish it.
Oh no, I don't
And
know.
I can't. It was sort of a greenish cover and a woman's face on the cover, and I can't think of.
Infrared.
That's what it is. Yep.
I
Wasn't
did
that the
not
same
like
idea?
Infrared.
They had to go stay overnight in a haunted place,
Actually, yeah, but
school or something.
it was closer to Grave Encounters though, because they were like a film crew trying to do a TV show
Okay,
or a movie.
but that one we couldn't even.
That's the one that had, like, the brother and sister dynamic where they, like, had
Yep, that was
issues.
weird.
Yeah,
And we didn't even.
Infrared.
We didn't. We couldn't even finish that one.
That was a Tubi original.
Okay,
I did finish it, but it was not it didn't help.
so this one, Seven Nights of Darkness, is better than that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. They had, and again, Infrared, tons of potential. Tons of
absolutely.
potential.
Same.
And
Yeah.
they just it just didn't execute. It wasn't executed well. So that was the biggest thing. And I hate it because, we loved Tubi for found footage, and them having their own found footage movies is so exciting to think about, but that one was not great.
No, no.
So this one's definitely better than that, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, easily better. We finished it, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
never thought about giving up on it. I never had that thought. I just was, I was like, okay, let's see what it does. But yeah.
so there's this interesting phenomenon where some of these movies that we haven't heard of and really haven't probably been in the public,
Hmm.
consciousness for a long time suddenly pop up on Tubi now, and now everybody's talking. So this is a movie like a lot of people are talking about right now, but it's not new. It's just one people didn't really know about or haven't thought about in a really long time, and so
Yeah.
it's
And
interesting.
I think some of that just falls into some of that stuff with like VHS and Deadstream and all those things kind of bringing light to found footage. People are just
Yeah.
discovering it more. And
Oh
then
yeah.
now you're able to find it easier because these services know that people will watch it.
I feel like I'm hearing more and more people who are not necessarily like found footage people
Mhm.
saying things like, "This is my favorite found footage movie," or like this, things like that. And that, I
Yeah.
mean, it definitely feels like found footage in general is just more present and, you know, more of a thing.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree. I think, and I honestly feel like we're probably going to just keep seeing more of that as they keep
Hope
making
so.
more things a little more mainstream, you know?
I think
Yeah.
so.
So
Okay.
yeah. So
Seven Nights of
Seven Nights
Darkness,
of Darkness, Tubi.
worth a watch.
Yeah, especially if you like this setup.
But don't watch Grave Encounters right before this because
I was just gonna say, if somebody watches this and they have not seen Grave Encounters, but they have seen this one, I would like to know the thoughts on it because I wonder how much of our viewings and love for Grave Encounters is kind of like tainting the thoughts on this one.
a little bit, I think. A little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
And I'm probably not, I'm probably blanking. There's probably another, almost definitely there's another in this style that I've seen. I just can't pull it out of my brain. But
yeah, yeah. I think it's kind of a common one too.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's that.
what are we talking next week?
We're talking one we probably should have talked about a long time ago. We are finally covering Host.
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 Everyone knows that one, I think.
Everybody does.
But if you want to watch it or revisit before our chat next week, it is on Shutter. You can watch it
Shut
on
it.
Shutter.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, I think that's it for this episode of Found Footage Fridays. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week coming up. And Tom and I will see you next week.
See you next week.